Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to have a look at the E50M. It got buffed and I have no freaking idea why it got buffed. It didn't need the buff. It was already one of the strongest medium tanks in tier 10. So it got a rate of fire buff, reload time obviously buff, power to rate ratio on hard terrain, medium, soft terrain, all buffed. Yes, a little nerf on the traverse speed on the medium and soft terrain, but terrain resistance also got buffed, and of course the DPM of this tank has been buffed. Even though it's 2,900, you can get it to around 3,100 DPM, which is not the highest of medium tank DPMs, but it is still a good, really good buff. As I've said, the tank is one of the most broken, I wouldn't say broken, maybe I would say broken, medium tanks in tier 10. It is the strongest, and although the DPM is not as high as the other mediums, or like 3,500-ish, it's around 3,000, 3,100, even though it's not as high DPM as the other medium tanks, it is basically a heavy. It's got heavy armor. The upper plate is really, really strong. The turret is strong. It's got a few weak points on the turret, of course, and the bottom plate is quite weak, but it's got that high alpha shot as well. It can ram tanks. It basically, this tank has everything. It's one of the best accuracy guns in the entire game. Again, the high alpha, so even though our guy here is he's bounced a couple of shots, but now with the lower reload time, sort of you're doing 350, 360, sort of maybe even 380, sometimes even a little bit more if you've got a high roll per shot, and for a medium tank that is absolutely fantastic. It has the mobility to get away. It has the accuracy just to farm tanks from across the maps. It has everything. Now, I really don't understand why Wargaming would buff this tank. I know they're trying to change the meta, etc., but there's some tanks that just didn't need to be buffed. I mean, yes, if they want to make it a medium meta, then yeah, nerf the heavies, which they have done, but you don't really need to touch the medium tanks. There were a couple of tanks like the FV4202, like they got the speed buff. It didn't really need it. The Centurion got the speed buff, didn't need it. Yes, it was a slow tank, but that was the only downfall with that tank. And we are going to be making a video. The video may be released already by the time I release this. I'm not 100% sure. So there was tanks that got buffed that really didn't need to get buffed. Yeah, there were tanks that got nerfed that deserved to get nerfed. Heavyweight, the Kromwagen, the E5. But just because you want to change the meta Wargaming, it doesn't mean that you need to buff other tanks. Like a nerf for the opposition tanks, like the heavy tanks, is enough. You didn't need to buff things like the E50M. It is already the strongest of tanks. Now, if he was to have rushed down this hill and rammed this M5 Yo, even though it's a heavy, he would have done about 600-700 damage to the guy and probably only lost about 300 hit points. And this tank is amazing. If you can get the ram in, then do it. It is really good fun ramming tanks when they are full hit points. Of course, don't do it too early on in the game because you are going to lose hit points. It is an extremely heavy medium tank that can really deal damage, and you can really pump up that damage when you go for the ram shots. And even if tanks like here, like 100 hit points, he could ram him. It has the armor. As I've said, look, he's just managed to bounce 1,300 damage without even looking at the tanks. It is got great DPM, or good DPM for what it is. It's got great accuracy. It's got great armor. It is gun depression. It's all-round great tank. And Wargaming are buffing or nerfing the heavies because they are too versatile, where now you've got this. What's the point playing a heavy when you could drive an E50M, which is still basically a heavy tank with the mobility and the accuracy and the DPM of a medium tank? It is an all-round great tank, and if you haven't already grinded this tank, then definitely now's the time to go and do it. Now they've buffed it, it really is now the time to go and play this tank. Of course, there are weak points. As I've said, the turret, if you're moving about, then the turret is extremely troll. Just like the E100, the E75, it does have the in between or next to the gun, the cheeks, they are quite weak. But if you're wiggling your turret about, that becomes very difficult to penetrate. So go download, or go download Blitz now. Go get these tanks, go grind these tanks. And look, even a little ram there, 500 damage, and he only lost 259 damage, and that's just pumped his DPM up massively. It's got this guy now down to a one shot, and he can clear him. So do go for the rams if you need to, because it really will pump up your DPM massively. So we're going to watch one more game now. A good friend of ours, good game there from Addicts, WT, a nice amount of damage, just over 7,000 damage. And now we're going to watch our good friend Bolt Carrier from Immore Clan. I'm getting lost with all the clans he's joining, Legion, BPS. He's yeah, he likes to change about. But I think mainly he's a real Legion player, to be honest. Good friend of mine, actually. We met at Tank Fest. He's a really good guy, and he does send me these replays quite regularly. And I do love showing these replays. I'm on voice with him regularly, and he's just a fantastic player. And I love seeing his gameplay, because it really is good, especially in a tank like the E50M. He's a great player in tanks like the Bat Chat. I've shown a few replays of him in a Bat Chat before. All round great player, and he's just going to showcase just how strong now this E50M actually is. And I can see a lot of people now playing the E50M. They're going to go and grind the E50M, because again, like I said at the start of the video, like Wargaming buffed these tanks, and really this tank didn't need buffing. If you go and look at my last E50M video, I did actually state maybe a few times, maybe in the past few videos, that this tank is probably the strongest medium tanks in the game. I wouldn't say it was the best. I mean, you still have the Leopards. I love the Leopard, which is still my favorite. You have the T62s, you have the STBs. They are all good tanks. They are all fantastic tanks, but some of them I would prefer, like the T62. I'd probably prefer it over the E50M, but that doesn't mean it's the strongest. Yes, it might be a better tank overall, but it's not the strongest. And that's why this tank, I've always said, is the strongest medium tanks, because of the armor profile, because of the turret, because of the accuracy. It really is a strong tank and a nightmare tank to deal with. If you can face hug tanks, medium tanks, they are really going to struggle to penetrate you. If they can't get hold of your bottom plate, if you're face hugging them, they really are going to struggle to penetrate you. And if you're wiggling your tank side to side, 100% you will get bounces. You will get more bounces in this than any other medium tank in the game. Regardless of what tank it is, you will get more bounces in this. So bear that in mind. You can't bounce everything, but yeah, I mean, there he gets a nice bounce from the Yo. Doesn't get a bounce there from the TVP, but he is going to get taken out by his platoon mate. So 2,100 damage at the moment. He's only blocked one shot from this this Yo. It does have weak sides, however. It does have really weak sides. So try and not show your side plate or your rear. If you come up against a Death Star will be able to HE the side of you. So be careful with that. Always try and show your strongest part of the tank, which is the front of your tank. And your bottom plate, obviously try and hide your bottom plate as much as you can. Has a nice amount of gun depression as well, so always try and get on those ridges using the gun depression, and again, you will get those bounces. But 2,400 damage at the moment. It is a 4 versus 5, and the Jaegeru there come. I'm not stupid, says well, Bolt's thinking I'm not stupid, so he is going to come, but just not yet. He's going to be waiting, doing the patient game. And what I love here, he's going to help his platoon mate here deal with the Yo. And now it is a 3 versus 4. The mouse is on one side, the T57 is one side, so 2 tanks are one side and 2 tanks are the other. But he knows that his Yo is here, he knows his platoon mate, the E50M, is here, so he's going to completely ignore these 2 tanks on this side of the map and go with his team. He's going to be now 3 against 2 this side of the map. So if they can deal with these guys, and that's just the accuracy there. I mean, look at that shot on the move, absolutely crazy into a heavy tank. So if they can deal with these guys here, I love what they're doing, and I love the tactics here. Like, they completely ignored the 2 tanks the other side of the map to go clear these tanks, and now this side of the map, even though his platoon mate is dead, it is now a 2 versus 1. And if he can get round the back of this T57 heavy, which he is going to, and rightly so, the T57 is going to ignore him to go for the Yo, which is the right choice. Now the Yo on the enemy team is a good player, but now it is a 1 versus 3, and it becomes very, very bit difficult. If he can clear this guy, it will make it a little bit easier, but he's not got enough hit points. He's only got 1200 hit points. One shot from the Jaeger and 2 shots from this this Yo, it will be game over. So he's just going for the HE there. He's just going to do a little bit of damage whilst tracking him as well. So good tactics there, and he's still doing 160 odd damage per shot. So he's trying to bait the shot now, but he does need to be very quick. He does get the miss there. The Yo does miss him, which means he probably has 1 shell remaining. If he can get a bounce or even a miss, that would be absolutely perfect. But he does get the shot. He's only on 800 hit points now, so he really needs to clear this guy very quickly, because if this Yo reloads, he will be able to take him out in 2 shots. And of course, the enemy does have the 3 cap points, so he brings him now down to a 1 shot. Is he going to get shot? This Yo's got to be reloaded. There's one, and he gets the bounce. How lucky is that? He gets the bounce, and now it is just him versus this Jaeger. I honestly thought there he was going to go for the track shot, but what is this Jaeger doing? He has just gave the game away. Just that little push there, he's just managed to get himself tracked, and now he's just going to constantly get tracked. But well played here from Bolt. Absolutely amazing. I love the fact that he ignored the Yo and the Jaeger to go and help his team. But just before the cap gets to 1,000 supremacy points, he does get the kill. So absolutely amazing game there from Bolt. 7.7k damage, a well-deserved Kolobanov, and a nice ace. 1900 base XP. So that just showcases just how strong the E50M is. It is absolutely amazing. It has just about everything, and it can do anything. It can get bounces. You can help your heavy tanks. You can help your medium tanks. If you ram a medium tank, you're going to do 500 plus damage, even if you're only going sort of 20-30 kilometers an hour. So if you can get those rams later on in the game, I wouldn't do it too early, because you'll just be wasting your own hit points, and you want to save your hit points for as long as possible. But yeah, do go buy the E50M, do go grind it, because now with the buff, it is just even more better than it originally was. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the E50M in the comments below. I'm Meadsy, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye.